Hey guys, Handicapped Kid here. I'm sorry for the way I look. I'm tired. Just got out of class. So I just got done teaching and stuff for the day. Now I'm going to talk about something that's the probably like third or the second most important thing to me, or third most important thing to me. The first being my family, like my wife and stuff like that, my mom, stuff like that. Okay, well, my wife and stuff more important, but then second, this is probably second, martial arts. And that's Martial Arts Studios. And a few people in my subscribers, I mean, I know I don't have a lot. I only have 56 right now at the time of this video, and I'm completely okay with that. Like I said, I'm doing this stuff for myself. This is fun stuff for me to do. I don't care if I have 50 subscribers or 100 or 200 or 1,000 or a million. I really don't. If I ever get that big, yay, I'm happy. I have a lot of people. But for now, I'll do videos when I can and about stuff I want. I usually do gaming videos. I love video games as you go. But anyway, moving on. I'm going to tell you the 4 or 5 things or so that you need to look for if you're looking for a martial arts studio. Right? There's a lot. As I said, I do martial arts myself. Been doing it for about 11 years now. So I mean, my profile picture is me doing a kick at a show I used to do. But I'm going to go over, and a few people have asked me, that sent me messages and stuff. I'm like, I want to start martial arts. I want to learn martial arts. Where do what do I look for in a studio? Okay, first of all, first thing you want to look for in a studio is belts. Okay, and when I say that is you don't want to look at the belts themselves and see like the quality or where they're bought, or are they good, are they pretty? No, you don't want to look at that. Okay, you want to look at buying the belt. And what I mean by that is if you walk into a studio, you should see a clear difference between every belt. A white belt should not look like the next rank. And I say the next rank because, well, I mean, there's a lot of studios that go white to orange or white to yellow white or white to white with a red stripe or high white, whatever they're called. There's a lot of different, I mean, I've been to studios where red's right before black, and I've been to studios where red is like 4 before black or like way before black. Okay, so there's a lot of different arts that do different things. Studios do different things. So white before the next rank or the middle rank. Okay, if basically, I mean, I've gone to studios, and my old studio became more and more responsible, or more and more this way. When I first started, it was very obvious. Once you went from white to your next rank, there was a clear difference. You're like, you could see that how much work went into this. And maybe it was just because I was a kid, but when I was a black belt, I used to instruct for the studio. But when I was a black belt, you could see the difference. And when I was an instructor, we tried to make sure there was a difference there between the white belts and the black belts. A huge difference. Not a little one. A huge, like you could tell this person's been here longer. That's why they're this rank. They've been going for at least a couple years. Now, what I mean by buying the belt, this is the definition of buying the belt. Alright, and the way this works is you come to class, or your kid's going to class, okay, and you're paying the tuition. Okay, you're not missing your days. You're learning your stuff. Sure, you know how to do it, but are you really doing it how it's supposed to be done? Is the real question. So when the time comes, you're gonna go, and you're gonna go year by year by year. You're gonna go, and then say you get to almost your black belt, but you have to move. So you move to a different location, and they look at your stuff, and they have like a very similar belt system. So they look at your stuff and like, oh, my red belt was right before black too. So like I'm a red belt at this studio in Tong Soo Do or Taekwondo or Kung Fu, whatever. Kung Fu uses sashes though. So whatever it was. Okay, so they pre-test you, they have you join a class and look, and they go, okay, sorry, but you might be a red belt at this studio, but your skill level is only like grade 3. Like the 3rd belt up from white. That's your skill level. So not only did you waste your time and money and effort, but it's a huge confidence, like downer. You're just done. I mean, at that point, you don't want to do martial arts anymore. That's the number one thing you need to look for, honestly, is buying the belts. And how you do that is you go to a studio, take a trial class if they'll let you. Most will. Do a free class, learn a little bit, and usually the trial classes will be with the white belt class. So do a little bit, keep an eye on the white belts, watch them and stuff. Then stay, watch the other classes. Now you should be able to see a clear, huge difference between And there's the reason I say take a white belt class is so you know the stances, you know what they're going to do. You should be able to see a clear difference between the skills. It shouldn't be like, oh, well, the black belts are way better. No, it should be night and day. It should be, this is a white belt, that's a black belt. All right? That's how it should be. That's rule number 1 when looking for a studio. Okay? Rule number 2, all right, it's got to be family. All right? With the martial arts, and as a high-ranking instructor in my current studio, a martial arts studio has to find this balance. It's got to be a business. You have to understand it's a business. That's why there's so many fees. There's testing fees, uniform fees, mat fees for special classes, stuff like that, because it is a business. It does have bills to pay. It's got to pay its electricity, water, insurance, whatever. Okay? But it's also got to be a family. I mean, it's just got to. I mean, I invited my master instructor had nothing to do on Thanksgiving. I invited him out to my house for Thanksgiving. You know, it's just how it goes. All right? I'm invited all the time out over at some of my students' houses to watch the game and drink a few beers all the time. Okay? But, you know, it's got to have this clear balance. Okay? And that's what you want to look for. You don't want an instructor that's, you know, basically, oh, hi, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. How are you doing today? Little Susie's doing great, by the way. Okay? Her test is coming up. Remember, it's $45. It's due tomorrow. Okay? And then nothing else. I mean, I have students whose parents ask me, like, hey, so-and-so got an F on their geography test, or so-and-so punched a kid at school. Can you talk to them? Okay, it happens all the time. Now, you want to make sure that your instructor is not doing all the punishing for you, okay? But you need to find this safe little, you know, middle ground. Okay, the third thing you need to find is make sure it works, okay? Basically what I mean for that is you don't want to spend, this goes into the buying the belt thing, you don't want to spend too much time, money, and effort getting to the point of thinking you can defend yourself. Alright, thinking you can defend yourself. Okay? You don't want to get to the point of, you know, oh, I know martial arts. I'm almost a black belt. I can defend myself just fine. And then find out what you know is crap. Now, I'm not saying research your martial art, your martial art instructor, and see like if he's won any awards or anything like that, because some have, some haven't. Alright? A lot of martial artists are very humble. The good ones, anyway. They're very humble. And they might not really broadcast that they have a bunch of awards or they've done this or that. They've competed here, they competed there. All right. I mean, I've gone to a bunch of tournaments. I've won first place in a bunch of them. Lost a lot more. But the one award that I have in my house is that medal right there. Oh, 2 awards. I have a plaque over here on this wall that you can't see. Over here. And that plaque over there is for, you know, from my instructor basically saying thank you for the whole year, this past year that I have of all the effort I do. I mean, I drive an hour to my studio. I train an hour away up in Broken Arrow. I live in Barnesville. I train in Broken Arrow. I teach in Broken Arrow. I drive an hour. Okay? Just because you can't find anything on them on the web doesn't mean they're full of crap. Okay? There are a lot that are humble. But you want to make sure they're not someone who went to centurymartialarts.com, bought a black belt, had it embroidered, bought a license, came up with a crappy curriculum, and decided to teach somebody for money. And they are out there. So you have to watch out for that. That's rule number 4. I think 4. Are we on 4? We're on 4 now. Alright? So, that's rule number 3. Sorry. I can't count. I've been kicked in the head a lot. Okay, so, but rule number 4, okay, confidence. This has got to be one of the most important things there is, and that's confidence. Your martial art instructor should install confidence in you as a parent and your student, or vice versa. If you're a student and you're, you know, whatever, okay, they need to install that. Now, my old studio did very well at this when I was a kid. When I was a child, when I was 14 years old, I was shy, I was bullied, everything under the sun. That stereotypical story. Okay? My mom saw this and decided, my oldest sister even bullied the crap out of me. She decided to put me in martial arts. Honestly, it was because I begged her because one of my friends did it at the time. So she put me in martial arts, and I trained. I gained confidence and all this other stuff. It was awesome. All right, it gave me the confidence to join the military. It gave me the confidence to do all this stuff. So I went on, but when the military fell through, I had to get a medical discharge because we discovered I was epileptic. I was diagnosed, all this stuff I didn't know when I joined, or else I wouldn't have joined because they wouldn't have taken me. But I had, for the first time in my life, I actually had to think for a moment. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? So I decided, which I already had plans to do this once I got out after 8 years in the military or so, opening up my own martial arts studio. So I figured at that time, I already did some teaching. All right. I figured at that time I need to get a little more. I'm only a first degree black belt. I need to go get a little more instruction, a little more teaching, a little more classes of my own, grow a little bit before I even think about opening a studio. So I asked my my old instructor, my old master instructor, if I could teach for him for a job. And, he said, my son, who is also an instructor, is getting married. Why don't you come down for the week that he's gone for his honeymoon and take over the classes he normally would teach? We can see how that goes. So I did that, and while I was there, I was told he doesn't come in to teach very often anyway, so this was just an excuse to get me up there to do something, which I don't know why he didn't just say that. But apparently I did good, because then I was asked, I was told there's a spare room here, or Daniel's leaving, my buddy who actually got me into all this, sorry, my eye is itchy, who got me into all this. He's leaving to go back to school in Oklahoma. I need an instructor up here. You can take over his room, live in his room in the studio, go to school if you want to go to school, get a job, a day job if you want to, but you're going to teach all this other stuff, and I will pay you. So I live in the studio. I couldn't find a day job while I was there. No one wanted to hire a part-time martial art instructor who worked, most of the week, most of the day. So there was no room for him. Got to be there all the time. So I worked for a year at this studio for $600 a month. Is what was my average pay. So, there's a fifth one. Okay, so kept going. I did all this for a year. Okay, and this entire time, by the way, my grandparents, who originally paid for my instruction, signed me up for what they called the Master's Journey. All right? And this was a contract that stated, even if I quit, they still had to pay it. It stated that this was the amount a month you will pay until I test for third degree, or for this amount of months, and if I don't test for third degree by that time, I train for free until I do. That was the contract. And they have it that way because you can't foresee someone pulling their kid out, so they want to make sure they get their money's worth, or someone being injured. You break your ankle or something, you're out for a couple months. All right, so, it puts you a couple months behind in your training. So, that was how it went. But I was an instructor. So basically, and my grandparents were still paying this contract off. So basically, the whole time, and I didn't know this until about halfway through the year, the whole time that I was up there teaching and working, and by the way, I was taking one class a week. One. All right, the whole time I was teaching and working and doing all this other stuff, my grandparents were paying tuition. So, put it simply, my family was paying for me to work there. Okay, well, after a year, I was laid off. I was told they couldn't afford me being there anymore. They told me I was free to stay to be an instructor here and there, and to train and all this other stuff. But I had to move out of the studio. I could get an apartment somewhere, but $600 a month. Where am I going to get an apartment for that? I mean, I didn't have any money saved because gas for driving. It was Fayetteville. It's a big town, all this area. So. And I drove a Chevy Silverado. It took a lot of gas. But while I was there, I'm talking about confidence. And just kind of a backstory for that part, because this is the most important part. While I was there, while I was an instructor, anytime I had an idea of a drill, hey, what if we did this drill? I was shot down. Anytime I had an idea for maybe a program or an after, maybe a camp game or something, shut down. Game idea or camp theme ideas, shut down. Completely ruined my confidence. The final nail in the coffin didn't happen until about 6 months after I moved back to glorious Oklahoma. All right. Went to a tournament in Arkansas that my old studio was putting on, because they do have one here in Bartlesville. They have a studio here, so I was still training with them and stuff. And at the time, I actually lived with my grandparents, and so did my current girl, or my now wife and girlfriend at the time. So, who actually packed all her life up and moved from Arkansas to Oklahoma with me to live with me because so that's part of this story. So after the tournament, after we were done, setting it, taking everything down, putting the mats on the trailer for them to be taken back to the studio to be laid down, whatever, wherever they were going, I approached my master instructor and asked him, because I was, like I said, I was almost a third degree. I felt it's time for me to start looking at what I need to open a studio. I went to ask his advice. Wasn't asking permission, I was asking advice. He looked me in the eye with kind of a smug look like it's not ever going to happen. Told me I need at least 30 grand. $30,000. He was like, I've never opened a studio for anything less than $30,000. By the way, I've done the math. It's the location I want and all this other stuff. It'll only cost me like 16. Second, he said, and the second thing you need to do to remain in Tongsudo, USA, as a federation, you need to be in a 30-mile radius from any other martial arts school in Tongsudo, USA. Yet again, like I said, my girlfriend just packed up her life for me and moved to Oklahoma. Now I was staring at my instructor who just told me I need to be away from all his other schools. Well, the schools that are in the federation. They're not all his. But some, there are other people who started schools in the federation. Now, that being said, I think the only place I could have gone at that time and not done that would be either Kansas City, Fort Smith, or someplace in Texas. Those would be the closest. So he basically told me, you can't, unless you pack up your life and move. That was the nail in the coffin for me. I was done. That basically was, hey, you can't unless you pack up your life and move. My confidence at that point was shot. As an adult. And I was only like 22 when that happened. That was only like 2 years ago. So, you need to make sure you have an instructor who will instill confidence in yourself, you or whatever child you're taking. All right, that's just how it goes. All right, now the fifth thing that you need to make sure is you need to make sure your relationship with your instructor is a good one. Now, what I say by that is you don't want a relationship like I had with my original master instructor, or all my instructors for that matter, and that is a yes sir attitude. Now, what I mean by that is I felt that if a master told me to do something, I had to do it then and there, or to the earliest availability. All right, so I did so many things that I probably shouldn't have for him, for my original instructor. I went up to our camp out in Arkansas. I painted tables with linseed oil and stuff like that. That's fine, but we'd be up there to like 30 minutes to an hour before class, and he'd be like, all right, guys, don't be late for class. Hurry up. And we would be 3 hours from the studio, and class would be in an hour. So we would have to speed back. And, almost, I think I got like 3 tickets while I lived in Arkansas speeding back because he kept me to work too long. Now, you need to be able good relationship with your instructor or your master instructor. When I say that, you need to be able to look your master instructor in the eye and say, no, sir, I'm not comfortable doing that. Or, sir, I need to leave for whatever reason. It doesn't matter if you just want to leave, or I'm not staying for this class, sir. I just don't feel up to it today. Whatever it is, you need to be able to do it. If you have you gain one of those relationships, or you go to this place and that's kind of how it is, black belt or higher tells you to do something, or your senior tells you to do something, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, and you do it without questions, within reason, I'm pretty sure no one's going to say, hey, kill him or stab him, and yes sir, stab. No, not going to happen. But you need to be able to look in the eye and go, ma'am or sir, I need to go home for dinner. My wife is expecting me home. It's an hour drive, or it's a 30-minute drive, it's a 45-minute drive. I still have to pick up dinner or pick up whatever. You need to be able to do that. And if you do that once and they start to stop asking you to do things, you need to find a new studio. That's just how it should be. All right, guys. I know it's kind of a long video, 20 minutes, but it's one of the things. But I felt I needed to do. Thank you for watching. If you guys are watching, if you made it through this long list, hit the like button. If you're not already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. Leave me a comment. And as always, I know this is a martial art video, but as my motto says, I just put up a Viva Pinata review. I did play the game. My recording equipment was broken at the time, but I was asked to play it. And as I said, it was an account that looked fake, but I still played it. He called me out on my motto, which is no game is not worth playing, and I played it. So that being said, if you have a game that you're iffy on, whether it be anything from Gears of War to Viva Pinata, send me, you don't even have to send it, just comment on a video. I will look at it, and I will get a video up on it ASAP. Now, if I've never, a lot of times with these older games, and a lot like Viva Pinata, I've actually played them. So, I really will do a quick, maybe a picture one, or maybe I'll pull some videos offline and show it a little bit. But, like, someone actually asked me to do Crash Bandicoot at one point, and I pulled videos off the internet for that one, and the trailer and stuff like that, because it actually used to be my favorite game of all time. I played the crud out of it. Same with Spyro, and like a lot of old PlayStation games. So, you ask me, I will. If I've never played it, I will find a way to play it before I do a review, and I usually put a good 4 to 5 hours into the game before I review it. So this is Handicap Kid, guys. If you decide to do some martial arts, make sure you try to. You don't have to follow all these if you don't want to. They're my opinion, but the one I suggest you follow the most is the buying the belt. Thank you, guys. Have a good day, or evening, or night, whatever you're doing. This is Handicap Kid saying, make sure, keep gaming, signing off.